Welcome back everyone to another video, and in this video I wanted to show you an example of rent vesting versus buying an established property slash new build and really compare the numbers for you guys so you can understand which one you should be going for and talk about the pros and cons of them as well. Now, a lot of this video will really depend on your financial circumstances, your ability to borrow money, your lender's policies, your actual savings amount, and so on and so on. And so I try to make this as a fair comparison as possible, really looking at the headline numbers and breaking them down for you guys to help you understand which option to go for, especially in this post-budget environment where you no longer get negative gearing benefits. And that's the biggest thing out of this. And so I wanted to show you an example. Now, this one is in Lavington, purchased for $695,000, and it's something you could purchase a bit less, a bit more in a location. And it's a location that a lot of investors have been buying in. It's a popular location, great long-term hold, and one of my favorite locations in New South Wales to purchase. And this is a typical property that you would go out and purchase as an investment asset compared to something like this. Now, Schofields is sort of a growing and booming suburb within Sydney. And when I say Sydney, I mean it's about an hour and a bit away from the main CBD. In fact, when you bring it up on Google Maps, you can see just how far away it's from the CBD, which is what a lot of young buyers, young generation of future homeowners are looking to purchase in these outfield Schofields areas, south in Campbelltown, out in Penrith. And this is the reality of where the young generation are looking to look. And this is why it raises the question, is it better to rent vest where you purchase an investment asset and then you choose where you want to rent depending on where you work, whether that's, closer towards Strathfield, up in Epping or North Sydney, etc. And I wanted to break down some numbers for you. Now, for the purposes of this example, I made these numbers acceptable of what I really think you can purchase as an investment property and what you can purchase as an owner-occupier in Sydney. So if you go out and you purchase a property for $650,000 in Lavington at a 10% deposit, you need around $65,000 for the deposit alone. But when you factor in things like stamp duty, legal fees, settlement fees, you will need close to $101,000. When you're looking to buy in Schofields and you put a 10% deposit, which is $125,000, you will still need a stamp duty, which equates to about 40 or 50K from the top of my head. And when you really work through the numbers, it's also going to cost you around $181,000. So around $100,000 more to purchase a property in Schofields. So let me break down some numbers for you. If we look at the first property in Lavington, if you purchased it for $650,000 at a deposit of 10%, say $65,000, you'll need a loan about $585K. You need LMI, which is around 10 grand or so. Stamp duty, you'll need about $112,000. Now, if you're to purchase in Schofields for $1.25 million, and once again, I'm being generous, you can find properties cheaper, you can find properties more expensive, depends on what you want to buy and where you want to live. At a 10% deposit, you need about $125K. Now, if you are buying as an owner-occupier or you have some lender policies, you might not need to pay LMI, but you still need stamp duty at that purchase price, which is around 40 to 50K or so. And your total cash required will be around $181,000, which is about 70, 80K more than if you were to Rentvest. So already in this property acquisition phase, there's a couple of things you notice straight away. One, you need more cash. That's a fact. Number two, you need to be able to borrow more money than you would if you were to Rentvest. If you were to Rentvest, you only need about a $585,000 loan. If you want to buy your own occupier property, you need about $1.125 million, which is a significant difference. And most single income earners, they can't afford that. Dual incomes just might be able to, but even in today's environment, you need around $200,000 income to even be able to consider that, and that's probably on a third tier lender as well. Now, if you look at the annual cash flow, you say the rent per week is around $550, which is around a 4.5% yield. You're getting around $28,000 in income. Now, you'll have home insurance, council rates, water rates, property management fees, repairs and maintenance, bank fees, pest control, and then you have your interest payments. But the important thing is that you also have personal rent because you'll be living somewhere, and this is important to factor into your overall annual expenses, because I'm not just talking about the property numbers here, I'm talking about your overall situation. Now, if you want to rent for $1,000 per week, then you need about 52K in rent. Now, in Sydney, you can find rent from around $650 up to $850, and so if I generously put $650 in, most people rent for around $650 to $800 per week for a 2-bedroom apartment in and around Metro Sydney, etc. Your total annual expenses will be around $76K. Your net cash flow is around negative $48K. So that's minus your rental income. Now, if you buy an owner-occupier property, you'll have no rental income. You'll have home insurance, council insurance. I've put them the same for ease. You'll have no property management fees, but your interest payments are much higher. It's around $67,000 because you're borrowing a lot more money. That's normal. And so your total annual expenses or your net cash flow is going to be around negative $73,000, which is around a $30,000 difference. Now, of course, a lot of that annual cash flow will be interest payments as well as your principal payment as well. And so you'll be paying some of the debt down. Oftentimes when you Rentvest, you're just going interest only, but when you're buying a PPR, you're paying principal and interest, which means you'll pay some of that debt down. So already you can see there's around a $20,000 difference between Rentvesting versus buying an occupier, which means that $20,000 is further opportunity cost. It also goes into your lifestyle appeal of where you want to go on holiday, if you want to buy an extra car or something else, or you want to use that money for further investments. Who knows? But already there, you're saving money on savings as well as then having extra money left over. Now, your growth projections are very important. Now, for this example, I've put them both as 7%, but there is something important to understand. This property in Lavington will likely have better shorter term growth and then also have consistent growth over the long term. It'll go from $650 to around $900,000, I think in about 5 to 10 years or so, and go even further. But this Schofield property, especially with the post-budget changes, I don't actually think it will grow at 7% over the next 5 years. I think it'll actually grow a lot slower than that. Now, of course, there'll be a time when it booms, but for the next, 12, 24 months, I don't think there'll be as much growth. So that is important to understand. But the long-term average is that property prices go around 7% per annum. So when you put a side-by-side snapshot, the most important number I would say to you guys is this monthly out of pocket. If you're buying the property in Lavington, you're getting around negative $4,000 out of pocket. With the Schofield property, around negative $6,000. Now, the numbers can be different depending on expenses, etc., interest rate, your savings amounts, etc. But this is just rough numbers. And so when you look at this sort of snapshot, it really seems like that Rentvesting is the better option, even post budget, even after you don't get any negative gearing benefits. It does seem like Rentvesting is a good option, but there are a couple of things you have to consider. First one is cash to enter. If you buy an owner occupier property, you're going to need a lot more upfront cash. Even with the 5% deposit, you'll need a lot more upfront cash. But on top of that, you also need to be able to borrow more money. Your serviceability, not everyone can borrow $1.2 million, even on dual income. But most people can borrow $650K, especially for an investment property. Now, your ongoing cost is that the rent will partially offset your interest payments as well as your property expenses, but your ongoing cost for your owner-occupier property in Schofields will be 100% funded by the owner. There is no rental income. And lifestyle, when you Rentvest, you can choose where you want to live, but if you buy your owner-occupier property, you have this security, which is a huge thing, guys, and I don't want to understate it. Security, peace of mind is so important sometimes for some people, especially when you have kids, that owning your own home and living in your own home can outweigh everything that I've talked about so far. But if you're happy to live slightly more on the edge, you want to rent where you live, you want to choose where you want to go, and you don't want to be tied down to a place, then Rentvesting is a good option. If you want that peace of mind, security, you have the serviceability, you have the buffers in place, and you don't care too much about investment, then the owner-occupier could be a good location. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all, but I would say that for 80 to 90% of people out there, they can't borrow $1.2 million, and number two, they don't have $125,000 sitting in the bank account, let alone the $180,000 sitting in the bank account. So they have to go down the Rentvesting option to then build up a property portfolio to then go and purchase a PPR down the line. Now, but this is assuming you live in Sydney and you have to purchase a $1.25 million property. But say, for example, you live in Melbourne and you want to buy an $800,000 property where it's much, much more affordable compared to Sydney. So you only need about an $80,000 deposit. Your stamp duty is probably a bit less. Could be similar. You just double check because of Victoria. Your total cash required is only about $126,000. Which is very, very similar to the Rentvesting option. And most people actually can borrow $720K. And your actual net cash flow is very similar, and you can choose where to live, and you have that security. And so if you're living in Melbourne right now, especially with the post-budget changes where investors pull out of these inner city suburbs because the rental yields are a lot lower, this option for you is much more lucrative and much more better compared to Rentvesting. Or there's a much stronger argument to purchase an owner-occupier property in Melbourne than it is to Rentvest while living at Melbourne. Now, but there is still impacts on future serviceability, your ability to extract equity and purchase again, and so on and so on. And you still might not get the suburb you want for $800K in Melbourne. However, the numbers are a lot similar when you compare Sydney when you compare rent vesting to buying a PPR in Melbourne. A lot of people in Sydney don't have the choice, but if you live in Melbourne or you live in a location where you can buy a property at this price point and lower, then this is a much better argument for you. And so I hope that has really broken down numbers wise on a simple high level term between rent vesting and buying an owner occupier. Please still talk to your accountant and your broker to work out your serviceability, your loan requirements, your lender policies, etc., because they will help narrow down what is the best strategy for you. And if you have any questions at all, jump in the private community and I'll help you guys out. Till next time, thank you very much.